Welcome to Motherhood in ADHD. I'm your friend, Patricia Sun. My mission is to be a lighthouse for mothers with ADHD, helping you find your path to success by learning to appreciate your ADHD as an asset. I'm seeking to change the paradigm that ADHD means your life is doomed to be a hot mess. So I'm sharing strategies and encouraging you in your pursuit of happiness to love who you are every day of your ADHD life. Hey there, successful mama. It's your friend Patricia. Today we are talking about why other people just don't understand attention deficit disorder and what you can do about it. I was a little worried about talking about this because I get so frustrated on this topic personally, and I'm really having to work on just letting it go. And so I'm going to give this pep talk to you and this pep talk right back at myself. It continues to be an issue. So what are we going to do about it? I think what makes attention deficit disorder the hardest to explain to other people is because it's invisible. You can't see it. It's not like somebody has hey, you're in a wheelchair. You have a leg problem. They're going to be a lot more sensitive to it because they can see it. It's in their face. But when it comes to any mental difference, any brain difference, people can't see it. It's the same if you have an autoimmune disease or any kind of inside your body problem and people can't see it, they just don't understand it because it's not in their face. But the thing is, just because you can't see it doesn't make it not real. It's not a pretend problem because you can't look at it. And that's what's frustrating to convey to people, because it's hard for us as humans to understand something we can't see. It doesn't matter what it is you're dealing with. When people can't see it, it's hard for them to grasp. But I want you to know that it is real, mama. We are not making things up. Our brains are fundamentally different. They are made up in a different way. We have different wiring than the other 90% of humans. Don't let someone make you feel like you're making up a problem just because you want some pity. It's not it. And so I just want you to have strength and have confidence in knowing that what you have is real, and it is a valid difference in the way that your brain is functioning, the way that it is set up. It is different. People are always just saying, well, if you just tried harder, do you not think I'm trying? It just drives me insane. When I was a lot younger, I had significantly less confidence. Sometimes you even think you could just try your way out of the situation. I'll just work harder and I'll get there. But the crazy part is no one's going to say to somebody with a broken leg, oh, well, if you just tried harder, you could make your bones grow together faster. Or, whatever it is, if they could see it, they don't think, well, just try harder and you can fix it. And don't get me wrong, you definitely can do things with your attitude and building your skills to make your life better or worse in the way that you handle things with your attention deficit disorder. But you can't just try to pay attention better, because obviously if you could just try to do it, you would have already done it. So the lesson is, people just aren't going to get it. One of the best pieces of advice that I got when I had talked with a coach, I was just telling her, I'm just so frustrated. My husband doesn't get it. I can't get him to understand that, I'm not doing these things on purpose that drive him insane or make him angry. And she straight up said to me, don't expect him to understand. And I was like, oh, wait, what? That's not the answer I thought I was going to get from her. I thought she was going to give me this brilliant advice on here's what you do to get people to get it. And obviously if she had that brilliant advice, she would literally be a millionaire because people would pay her for it all the time. But anyway, it's just not possible. People aren't going to fully understand what it's like to walk in your shoes, just like you can't fully understand what it's like to walk in their shoes with whatever they're dealing with. So just let that expectation go. It is unrealistic, and it's just a waste of effort for them to understand exactly what you're going through. Okay, so here's what we can do. What we can do is communicate the truth. That means that, one, we have to be educated enough to proclaim that truth, and then we have to be bold and brave enough to communicate it. So in order to have the ammunition, per se, to be able to explain to people, then that means you, mama, need to be very well versed in your disorder. You need to know
the most information that you can in order not only just for yourself to be able to, make the improvements that you want to make, but in order to explain it to other people, you really have to understand it. And so if you haven't done your research, if you haven't found like a really great coach or therapist or whatever who's helped you set down that path, you are welcome to head over to my website. I have lots of great resources on there where you can learn about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. But that's the first step, is that you have to know your stuff. The second part is being honest and communicating with people on what you need. You have to be the one to say, hey, this isn't my strong point. I need your help with this. Or I know I'm going to show up late to our lunch, so if you could tell me to be there like 15 minutes ahead of time, then hopefully I'll get there at the same time as you. Like, just be honest with them and communicate exactly what you need in order to be successful. So our action step for this week is find a trustworthy person. Not everybody deserves our full story, but find somebody who's close to you that you trust and let them know what you need to be successful. Ask for their help in something. So one way that I do this is, because I know my sense of time is absolutely terrible, I ask my husband to keep us on track. I ask him to tell me, like, we have to leave in 30 minutes. We have to leave in 25 minutes. We have to leave in 20 minutes. Like, constantly saying, this is the time that's passing, because my brain genuinely does not recognize the passage of time. I am dead set convinced that if you stuck me in a room with no windows and came back a little while later and said, how long have you been in here? I would have absolutely no clue. Absolutely no clue how long I had been in that room, because my brain just doesn't have that ability to understand the passage of time. I know this is super common with ADD, so I'm just honest with my husband and I tell him I don't know how long it's been. We're still working on this because he's really good about telling me that the time is passing. The struggle I have is that when he's like, we need to leave in 10 minutes, I know that I still have all these things that I need to get done before I leave, and I don't know that it's not a realistic goal to get those things done in 10 minutes. Really, I would probably need like 30 minutes to get finish the stuff that I think I could do in 10 minutes. Because when he says it's time to leave, he thinks like we are now walking out the door. And in my brain, when it's time to leave, it's like, okay, now I need to go put on my shoes and I need to get my purse and I need to check and make sure that I have the blah 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 thing in there. And that's a whole nother like 10 minutes to get out the door. So we're still working on that communication breakdown. I have to continue being vulnerable when he says like, hey, it's time to go, like keying in on, he's telling me this because I asked him to, and he's not nagging me, because it very easily can be seen like the nagging in my brain because I think I know what I'm doing and I don't. So I am going to continue to work on that. If you have any other suggestions, please, you can shoot me a note on Facebook or Instagram. That'd be great. I need help. So what we're doing, mamas, is so important, because one of the things I did when I was starting to gear up for this podcast is I joined a lot of groups on Facebook to get a feeling for what people were struggling with. And I found that I was just getting so frustrated reading these different groups and the posts. A lot of them are parents trying to help their kids. And the other day I was reading this post on this mom was trying to understand like what were the side effects of medication because they were getting ready to medicate their kid. And this lady was just pontificating super erroneous information. And it was so frustrating because she was trying to tell me that the word attention in attention deficit hyperactivity disorder was because people with ADHD are attention seekers and they just do all this stuff to get more attention. And I literally wanted to punch this lady through the computer screen because that is so wrong. That is not why people with ADHD do annoying things. It is not attention-seeking behavior. Now, while you may know someone who is an attention seeker, that's not due to the ADHD. That's just a personality trait. And I was so mad and I could not formulate a kind response back. So I didn't. But then now I'm mad at myself that I didn't respond because that makes it sound like she's right. It's seriously taking like a week and a half. And I don't know if at this point, maybe it's too late to go back and post. But I think what I want to say now that I have mulled it over for quite some time is that I'm just so sad that this mom, who clearly was working really hard to advocate for her child and to research, still received such gross misinformation. And that's what it boils down to, is that this lady really thought she was right. She thought she's doing what's best for her child, but really she had incorrect information. And it's like, how can we as moms do what's best for our kids if we're going out and finding wrong information? I mean, I felt bad after I thought about it for a while, because I was like, this lady was really working hard to do what's best for her kid, and yet here she thinks that her kid's seeking attention due to this brain issue. And she's trying to tell me about how people, well, no, I won't get into that, because I mean, I literally could like whine about this situation for like another 10 minutes. But in the essence of time, it is our job, mama, to proclaim the truth about this disorder, not only for ourselves, so that we can be confident in what we have and who we are, but as moms, we are also responsible for educating people for our children's sake. Because if you have attention deficit disorder, it is much more likely that your children will have it, and you are their biggest advocate. And I want to be able to help you, but I also want to be able to help those kids who can't advocate for themselves, who can't explain what their brain is doing, who can't explain why things are so frustrating. That's part of my mission. I'll have to figure out whether I respond to that woman like a week and a half later, or if I just chalk that up to a learning experience. But this is why what we are doing, spreading truth and advocating for our different brains, that it makes a big difference. Even though it is hard work to do. It's hard emotional work, it's hard mental work, but it really is worth it. I'm just going to keep telling myself that. You, mama, have a job to do. Find a trusted person to communicate with on what you need to be successful. And I got to figure out if I'm going to respond to this Facebook post. All right. Love you. I will talk to you soon, successful mama.
Thank you for listening to Motherhood and ADHD. For more resources, head over to our website, www.motherhoodandadhd.com.